Hello, and welcome to this pre-recorded feedback event for the June 2015 examination for NQF BTEC Levels 1 and 2 Hospitality Unit 1, Introduction to the Hospitality Industry. This presentation has been prepared by the Chief Examiner for Unit 1, Claire Chester. To help you get the most out of this feedback, you may want to have the following documents handy, as we will refer to them during the session. Unit 1 Specification, to show how exam questions are derived from the unit specification. June 2015 Exam Question Paper, to help to quickly reference the questions during the training session. June 2015 Exam Mark Scheme, to provide the answers to the examination questions. June 2015 Lead Examiner's Report. The report reviews the learner's performance for each question on the exam paper and highlights questions that were well answered, those which were less well answered, and recommendations for the future delivery of the unit. Sample Assessment Materials, SAMs. These are helpful as they show the format for examination papers and provide further reference to question construction. Supporting documents are available on the website, on the same page as the video of this recorded feedback. Aims and Objectives. The aims and objectives are as follows: receive feedback on the performance of learners, consider questions where significant numbers of learners underperformed and possible reasons why, discuss the lead examiner's report, consider delivery strategies and share good practice, address common issues, find out about further support available. There are 4 activities in this session which require you to consider learners' performance prior to being shown how marks are awarded. The activities will hopefully help to further improve delivery of the unit and suggest activities to prepare learners for the external assessment. Please open your Unit 1 specification. On this first page of the unit specification, you will see the learning outcomes listed. The unit consists of 3 learning aims. A. Understand the structure and service provision in the hospitality industry. B. Understand hospitality operations. C. Understand how current issues and trends impact on businesses within the hospitality industry. As there are no assessment or grading criteria within this unit, unlike other units within the specification, the learning aims form the basis for external assessment. In Learning Aim A, learners will explore the structure and service provision in the hospitality industry. This includes knowing how the hospitality industry is structured, the types of business within the industry, and products and services it provides, business ownership within the hospitality industry, types of support given by other industries to the hospitality industry. In Learning Aim B, learners will explore the operational processes employed throughout the hospitality industry and how staffing, standards, and quality can impact positively and negatively on the performance of businesses. Whilst Learning Aim C explores the trends and issues that impact on the hospitality industry. Within each learner aim, there are topics under which the unit content, or what needs to be learnt, is listed. A key message is that learners need to be taught the unit content in its entirety and that the teaching of the unit content be more than a superficial covering of the content. It is recognized that some parts of the unit content tend to get overlooked. A good example of this is question 5, which was not well addressed by learners. The question related to hospitality services, which is a sector of the hospitality industry that does not have the high profile that hotels or restaurants enjoy, and often tends to get overlooked in the teaching of this unit. The different types of businesses in the hospitality industry are a key feature of the specification content, and care should be taken to ensure that this topic is fully taught ahead of the exam. The assessment includes a mixture of multiple choice and written questions. There is one extended writing levels-based question worth 8 marks. The external assessment is a 1-hour 15-minute written exam worth 50 marks. General comments on learner performance. This was the third examination series for BTEC Next Generation Hospitality. Learners applied themselves well to the range of questions in the paper and demonstrated good knowledge and understanding of the hospitality industry. Learners that did well on the extended writing questions did so because they applied their knowledge and understanding of the hospitality industry to the given context or scenario, writing answers that demonstrated the ability to synthesize knowledge. Some learners did not note the information provided in the question stem. This resulted in them using the information already provided as a possible answer to the question, which could not be credited. The longer and extended answer questions towards the end of the paper were not well answered by a number of learners. Marks can be obtained through learners writing key points that demonstrate they have some knowledge and understanding of the unit content being assessed. Some consideration, and possibly noting down key points prior to writing the answer, would be beneficial if learners have difficulty in structuring an extended answer. The next 6 slides will explore questions within the exam paper, where learners did not perform as well as expected. Question 1 proved to be one of these questions. This question asked learners to state 2 ways in which travel agents provide support to the hospitality industry. This question was not answered well by the majority of learners, with a small number providing 1 correct answer. Learners appeared not to understand the support that travel agents give to the hospitality industry, or may not have read the question correctly and focused on the word travel. Many learners gave incorrect responses indicating types of transport, for example, taxis, trains, lorries, as demonstrated by the example on the screen. The mark scheme, as you can see, reflects the unit content, and credit was also given to learners who identified transfers and advice or information. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic A3 in the specification, the ways in which other industry businesses support businesses within the hospitality industry, including travel agents and tour operators. Question 3. This question was not well answered by learners. The correct response, disciplinary, was given by very few learners. Many learners simply did not answer this question, or stated grievance. The example on the screen is typical of many of the responses. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic B1. Controlling staffing, using legal, disciplinary and grievance procedures. Question 4 was also not well answered. The mark scheme reflected the list of membership clubs given in the specification, including professional or employment-associated clubs, politically affiliated clubs, clubs for particular cultural interests, sporting clubs. When answering, learners tended to give examples of multiple sporting clubs, for example golf clubs, as demonstrated by the example on the screen. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic A1, the structure and services of the hospitality industry, membership clubs. Question 5 and its subject area has been mentioned previously when we explored the unit content. Both questions are good examples of this previous point, that these are sectors of the hospitality industry learners are less likely to be familiar with and are rather low profile. Question 11 did not elicit many correct responses from learners. For this question, the command word was explain. Marks were awarded for identifying an equal opportunity measure, 1 mark, and then providing an explanation as to how this measure could help reduce staff turnover, 1 mark. Many responses indicated that learners do have a basic understanding of equal opportunity issues, and the responses tended to reflect this. Examples of responses were, give all staff the same hours. The example shown is typical of the responses given, and was awarded no marks. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic C1, trends and issues affecting the hospitality industry, and how the industry responds to these, such as equal opportunities for staff. Question 13 is the first of the Section B questions that relate to the given scenario. This question was not well answered, with very few learners providing one correct answer. Most of the answers given related to equal opportunities. The question's stem clearly states, one ethical trend that Tony has responded to is the increasing importance of equal opportunities for staff, followed by the question, state 2 other ethical trends that affect businesses in the hospitality industry. The repeated equal opportunity responses would suggest that the learners had failed to read the question correctly. This is likely to be down to exam technique. Learners would benefit from centres providing additional guidance on how to fully read and understand the question, and provide a response from the appropriate perspective. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic C1, trends and issues affecting the hospitality industry, and how the industry responds to these, such as ethical issues and trends. Question 15 is the last question in which learners did not perform as well as expected. As with the previous commentary on question 13, much of this is put down to learners not reading the question completely or correctly. The question stem states that social media is going to be used to launch the new TK Coffee outlet, and the question asks for 2 other ways the business owner could use online marketing to promote the outlet. The mark scheme was looking for any online marketing method other than social media, use of the website, app for the coffee shop, QR codes on promotional leaflets, email marketing, YouTube. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic C1, trends and issues affecting the hospitality industry, and how the industry responds to these, such as ethical issues and trends. The next 5 slides will explore questions where learners did well. Question 2. Hospitality businesses produce large amounts of waste that can be recycled. State 2 types of waste produced by hospitality businesses that can be recycled. This was answered well by the majority, with many gaining the full 2 marks for this question. This is an area of the specification Topic A2, support given by other industries to the hospitality industry, waste removal and recycling services, that the learners have a good knowledge of or are very familiar with. Likewise, question 6 proved to be accessible to most learners, who were able to identify footfall, visibility, and accessibility as benefits of locating a fast food chain in shopping centres. Again, a subject learners are familiar with, although the learner's knowledge has to be applied to the question here to form an answer. Topic A1, the structure and services of the hospitality industry, industry scope and range, local, national, international, locations, size of business. Question 7 proved to be accessible to most learners, who were able to identify the ability to buy in bulk at a good price and ease of access as 3 advantages of a hospitality business purchasing goods from a cash-and-carry supplier. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic B1, advantages and disadvantages of types of suppliers for hospitality businesses. Questions 8A and 8B were well answered. Learners appeared to be fully aware of the different types of business ownership for 8A, with most learners being able to suggest 2 advantages of owning a business as a partnership for 8B, with sharing responsibility and the management and operation of the business, and sharing business profits as the most common responses given to this question. This question was testing learner knowledge of topic A2, business ownership within the hospitality industry, advantages and disadvantages of different types of ownership. Question 9 is the first question on the paper where the command verb changed from give, state, identify, name, to explain. In general, explain questions are awarded marks for the identification of a relevant point, followed by the explanation or justification of the identified point. In this instance, marks were awarded for identifying a negative impact, 1 mark, and then providing an explanation of how the negative impact affects the business, 1 mark. Learners tended to receive marks for identification, but did not provide the required detail to receive the additional mark for the explanation. Most learners were able to identify 2 negative impacts on the business of opening 24 hours per day. The negative impact most identified by the learners was behavior related to excessive drinking. Some responses were linked to loss of business and lack of staff. However, these were often not fully justified. Centres should focus on developing learners' exam technique to ensure that they read and fully understand what each question is asking, both in terms of the command verb used and the perspective they are being asked to consider. The example shown here was awarded 3 marks. This question is testing learners' knowledge of topic C1, trends and issues affecting the hospitality industry, and how the industry responds to these, such as licensing reform. Question 10 was answered well by most learners, despite many learners misreading the question. As with question 9, for this question the command word was explain. Marks were awarded for identifying an advantage, 1 mark, and then providing an explanation as to how this could help sales and profitability, 1 mark. The question relates to the use of a daily market list to purchase ingredients for dishes that are to appear on the specials board. Many learners only read daily market and based their responses around this. Despite this, the responses given clearly indicate that learners are familiar with the term and use of specials boards within restaurants and other outlets. Many of the answers given state that ingredients can be purchased so that different dishes can appear on the specials board, thus attracting different or new customers. Some learners identified that prices on daily market lists fluctuated, and that the business would be able to purchase ingredients when the price is low, and therefore increase their profits. This question tests topic B1 in the specification, types of suppliers, and the advantages and disadvantages of types of suppliers for hospitality businesses. As with question 5, the use of daily market lists is not a type of supplier that is as prominent as cash and carry, and can easily be overlooked in the teaching of this part of the specification. All areas of the specification are tested, so centres should take every effort to cover the specification in full during teaching. The example shown was given 3 marks, 2 marks for the first response, being able to buy special or different ingredients, 1 mark, and to be able to charge more for this item on the menu, 1 mark. 1 mark is awarded for the second response for the freshness of the product, 1 mark. No marks have been awarded for being cheaper than going to the shops, as this is not necessarily the case with daily market lists, where prices are likely to fluctuate depending on many given factors. This question is testing learners' knowledge of topic B1, operational processes, advantages and disadvantages of types of supplier. Question 12. Another question where the command word was explain. Marks were awarded for identifying a way customer service will be improved, 1 mark, and then providing an explanation point as to why customer service will be improved, 1 mark. There were some good responses relating to staff becoming more experienced and guests getting to know the staff. In general, learners were able to provide 2 identifications, but were only able to fully justify one of these. The response shown is typical, and 3 marks were awarded for this example. Topic C1, Trends and Issues Affecting the Hospitality Industry and how the industry responds to these, such as increase or decrease in employees. Question 14. This question was well answered by the majority of learners. Most learners were able to give 2 reasons why it is important for TK Coffee to maintain quality and brand standards across all its outlets. Topic B1. The importance of maintaining standards and quality and their impact on hospitality businesses at business level and brand standards. Question 16. This question was well answered when attempted by learners. Most responses revolved around attracting young people as a result of their friends working there. and in many cases, the responses were fully developed for the required explain response. Topic C1, Ethical Trends, Contribution of Hospitality Businesses to Community Projects. Question 17, the extended writing question. A discuss question indicates to learners that they need to apply their learning from the unit to the given scenario. Learners could possibly benefit from being reminded to reread the scenario prior to attempting this extended writing question, and make use of the reading time allowed on this paper. It may also be beneficial for some learners to note down key points they think will help to answer the question, prior to starting to write the answer. Marks are not specifically awarded for points learners write down. Learners can achieve maximum marks for writing an answer that covers only 1 or 2 points, which are well explained and demonstrate a thorough understanding of the unit content, and which are well applied to the given scenario. In preparing learners for the exam, it is worth teachers and learners looking at the levels-based marking grid in the mark scheme, and discussing how marks are awarded for the given scenario. The majority of answers lacked application to the scenario, missing the key focus of the question, and were generic lists of points with no evaluation or analysis. The example shown below was awarded 7 marks. This response gives a comprehensive discussion of how to respond to trends and how this can improve the business. The answer would have been awarded the full 8 marks if reference had been made to opening new stores or expanding the business in some way. Activity 1, Question 6. On the basis of what we have covered so far, the following 4 activities should hopefully reinforce the key points that have been made. The first activity is based on Question 6. Please read the answer provided. You will need to refer to the published mark scheme to undertake the activity. What marks would you award the learner? Please pause the presentation now until you are ready to continue. Activity 1, Question 6 Marking. As you can see by the marks awarded for this response, the candidate achieved full marks. 1 mark was awarded for lots of people, which equates to footfall in the mark scheme. 1 mark was awarded for easy to get to, which equates to easy access in the mark scheme. Activity 2, Question 9. Question 9 is the first extended writing or explain question on the paper. The question is testing licensing reform, in particular the ability for a bar or pub to apply for a 24-hour license to retail alcohol. The question asks for 2 negative impacts on the business of operating 24 hours a day over the weekend. Note the detail in the question stem. This should be used by the learner to help answer the question. Please pause the presentation now until you are ready to continue. Activity 2, Question 9, Marking. This is a good example of a learner responding appropriately to the explain action verb in the question. Here the learner has been awarded full marks for this question. Response 1. The learner has been awarded 1 mark for the identification of loss of custom from different markets, in this case, families. The learner has been awarded 1 mark for their justification of this by stating custom will be lost due to the bar attracting a drinking crowd. Response 2. The learner has been awarded 1 mark for the identification of bouncers on the door. This corresponds to having conditions imposed on license in the mark scheme. The learner has justified why this is an issue by stating an increase in wages, or, as the mark scheme response, increased operating costs. For these responses, the learner applied the information given in the STEM for response 1 to show an understanding of the pub or bar sector of the hospitality industry and the settings in which they operate, typical markets, and issues relating to change. For response 2, the learner has demonstrated knowledge of conditions that can be placed on a license and the cost of conditions to the business. Activity 3, Question 12. Learners did not respond effectively to this question. The question is testing the learner's knowledge of equal opportunities and how providing equal opportunities can help to improve staff turnover. Please pause the presentation now until you are ready to continue. Activity 3. Question 12 Marking. This is a typical example of the type of response to this question. The responses clearly show that the learner has a good understanding of what equal opportunities mean and how they can be evidenced. Response 1. The learner has been awarded 1 mark for identifying that equal opportunities means that all staff must be treated equally. The learner has justified this as a way to reduce staff turnover by stating that the staff will want to work there. This reflects the first point in the mark scheme very well. Response 2. No marks have been awarded for this response. All of the examples given are ways in which the hotel can evidence that they are treating all employees fairly. Activity 4, Question 17. The Levels-Based Mark Scheme. Throughout this presentation, you have looked at different types of question, with different action verbs applied to them, and with different levels of demand. This final activity is for a different style of question, which requires the learners to provide an extended written answer. This extended writing question has a levels-based approach to assessing and marking learners' responses. This type of question features on all BTEC Next Generation examination papers and is a key feature of Next Generation assessment methodology. Marks are not awarded specifically for points, but against the criteria specified in the levels-based marking grid in the mark scheme. The indicative content acts as a guide to markers, giving examples of possible responses. Learners may identify other relevant points and be credited. The level descriptors are included in the mark scheme, and it's these descriptors that are applied to the learner's response. As you can see from the example on the screen, for Level 1, learners will identify issues or trends, but these will be in the form of a list. Any description will be superficial, and the responses will not be applied to the given scenario. The Level 2 descriptor looks for more detail in the learner's response. Whilst they may still be generic, there will be some application to the scenario. The Level 3 descriptor looks for a reasoned and justified response with application to the scenario. Using this levels-based marking grid in your mark scheme, decide what mark you think should be awarded for the following example of question 17. Please note that the learner's response covers 2 slides. Activity 4, Question 17, Slide 1. Please pause the presentation now until you are ready to continue. Activity 4, Question 17, Slide 2. Please pause the presentation now until you are ready to continue. This response was awarded at Level 3, attracting 7 marks. Here you can see where the learner has identified an action Tony could take to respond to the trend of healthy eating. The learner has stated that Tony could increase the healthy eating options on the menu. The learner has justified this by explaining that many coffee shops do not offer healthy options, and that Tony could use these healthy options as a unique selling point for the business. This also shows application to the scenario, as the action can help business growth. Again, the learner has suggested an action that could be taken, the use of promotional activities to promote the new healthy options. Justification for doing this helps customers to identify healthy options, making it easy for customers to choose these. And finally, justification that these actions could result in increased custom and business expansion. Preparing for assessment. In preparing for this external assessment, the following should be noted. Learners should know how to recognize the command verbs and the marks the answer attracts. Read the question stem carefully, noting the information already given, and knowing that this cannot be given marks if it is provided as an answer. Carefully consider the focus of the question, that is, if advantages are required, who are the advantages for? Not to be put off by the extended answer questions, and be encouraged to note down the information they do know, even if they cannot construct an extended writing answer. Prepare their answers. This paper is allocated 15 minutes additional time for reading the questions, scenarios, and contexts thoroughly before attempting to answer questions. Learn time management and use practice papers under exam conditions to support and improve exam technique. Don't forget the lead examiner's report for this examination contains all the commentary used in this presentation and is a useful resource for helping you to understand the requirements of each question. Further help about results is available by clicking on the slide web page on the screen. Before we go, let's just recap the aims and objectives of the session. You will have received feedback on the performance of learners, considered questions where significant numbers of learners underperformed and possible reasons why, discussed the lead examiner's report, considered delivery strategies, and shared good practice, addressed common issues, found out about further support available. Any questions? Forward these to teachinghospitality@pearson.com.